Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the monthly Summer Readiness Update call. This is Christina Osborne from ISO Stakeholder Affairs. I'll be the meeting facilitator. We do have one item on the agenda, and that's an update on the market enhancements for Summer 2021 Readiness Initiative. This topic will be presented by Greg Cook, who is the Executive Director of Market and Infrastructure Policy. But first, Anna McKenna, who is the Interim Head of Market Policy and Performance, would like to say a few words, so she's going to start us off. There will be an opportunity at the end of the meeting or at the end of the presentation to ask questions, and at that time, the event producer will provide instructions for how to enter the queue. We are recording the call, and we will make the video file available for a limited time on the Summer Readiness page that's linked on the homepage of ISO's website. So first, we do have some other ISO representatives on the phone. We have Neil Miller, who is the Vice President of Infrastructure and Operations Planning, Joanne Serena, Executive Director of Customer Service and Stakeholder Affairs, and also Delphine Ho, who is the Director of California Regulatory Affairs. So, Anna, go ahead and take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Christina, and thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. We've had a few of these meetings now, and it's a good opportunity for us to catch up with everybody and give you some, insights and updates as to where we're at as we get ready for our readiness this summer. At this time, our main focus is going through our stakeholder process and focusing on a series of policy changes that Greg will describe and discuss with you in greater detail shortly. But our main focus is making sure we get the stakeholder process completed so that we can take these to the board soon and be ready for having these changes implemented this summer. We've been having some healthy stakeholder discussion on all the items and have received a significant amount of feedback. And I wanted you all to know that we've been watching closely the feedback, the information, the discussions we've had to ensure that, we are responsive to concerns that are raised, and also that we're cognizant that these changes do impact your business, and we're making some decisions to ensure that the changes we make for the summer are not overly disruptive or unnecessarily disruptive, and honing in on the issues and the things that we really need for our summer readiness and ensuring we have reliability on the system as we prepare for, potentially additional climate-related challenges this summer. So with that in mind, you'll see in our proposals changes we've made in our prior scope, if you wish, that are, reflective of the concerns raised by participants with regards to how it impacts your business and your systems and participation. So thank you for joining today. Greg is going to get into the details a little bit more, and we're all here to answer questions on today's call. So with that, I will turn it over to Greg.
Thanks, Anna. Good morning, everyone. So I thought I'd start with reminding everyone of what our objectives are for this initiative. It's really in three areas. The first is making sure that we can equitably balance the reliability of serving the California ISO balancing authority area load with the reliability of exports while ensuring that we're providing open access to the ISO transmission system. Also, we're looking to better ensure that each balancing authority area participates in the energy imbalance market with sufficient resources and providing improved incentives for supply to be available during tight supply conditions. And then overall, we're looking to address those findings that came out of the final root cause analysis. So, on this slide, there's a number of elements that we have proposals for improvements for this summer. I'll be providing a fairly high-level overview. You can get all of the details in a draft final proposal that we have posted on our website, which goes into a lot of detail on each of these items. So first, for the export load and wheeling priorities, what we're proposing here is to provide equal, what we're calling market priority. And what this means is that through the market parameters that we use in our software optimization, we would be giving equal priority to California ISO load, exports that are supported by non-RA supply, and wheel through self-schedules across the California ISO balancing authority area, and modify the real-time market export priorities that are based on RUC schedules. And again, you can find all the details of this in our draft final proposal. We'll also have some proposed, I would call them fixes and an enhancement to the EIM resource sufficiency test. So we are looking at adding the uncertainty requirement to the resource sufficiency evaluation capacity test. And also we're resolving some of the defects that we've identified after our review of the August events. And those include accounting for resource derates and re-rates, as well as resolving a double counting issue that was identified related to mirror resources. Third, looking at import market incentives during tight supply conditions. We looked at a couple of options here, but we ended up landing on that we're proposing to provide a make-whole payment for real-time hourly block imports during those tight supply conditions. That should give additional security and certainty to those providing economic imports into the market during those tight supply conditions, that they can be ensured that their bid price will be respected in the hourly process. Fourth, we're looking at some real-time scarcity price enhancements. Again, these are short-term enhancements that we're looking at. We will be looking at more comprehensive enhancements later this year as we open up a new scarcity pricing initiative. But for this summer, we're looking to enhance our real-time scarcity pricing by releasing reserves at the bid cap price when the ISO is short on contingency reserves and our operators have to arm load in order to maintain that reserve requirement. So we think that this will help to send the proper price signals when we are in those, very tight conditions and at risk of dropping load. Fifth, the reliability demand response and real-time price impacts. Here we're really looking at what kind of enhancements, and these are also process enhancements we could put in place to ensure that when we do dispatch those reliability demand response resources, that they don't have a price suppression effect in our real-time market. So we're proposing a number of enhancements to dispatch those reliability demand response resources through the market so that we can have more accurate real-time price signals. And we're looking to change the process so that we dispatch these resources now through the RTPD or the 15-minute market, and also enable 5-minute and 15-minute reliability demand response resources to set that 15-minute market price. So this is similar functionality that we already provide to PDR resources. And then finally, we'll also be looking to adjust the load forecast to recognize that reliability demand response resource dispatch so that we're not double counting the impact of those resources in our system. So we think, these will help to mitigate some of the price suppression impacts that we saw when these resources were manually dispatched last summer, and will provide the ability for these to be dispatched through the market. And again, the requirements of the reliability demand response resources is that they have to provide a bid of $950 or higher. 6, management of storage resources during tight system conditions. Again, this is something we've been looking at through the Resource Adequacy Enhancements Initiative. We're listing it here because it's one of the pieces of that initiative that we're going to push up the implementation by this summer so that it can be in place to help us in the event that we enter into another period of tight supply conditions. So in that initiative, we're proposing a minimum state of charge requirement for storage resources, but it would only be in place during very critical periods so that we can meet the net peak loads. And again, this is only during those tightest supply days when we have, currently we're proposing to have a RUC infeasibility coming out of the day-ahead market. And then we're also proposing that this would have a 2-year sunset on this policy, and that with our plans to replace it with a state of charge market product, which we will be starting to develop later this year in order to have that in place within the next couple of years. And then finally, we're looking at enhancements, a new OASIS report, and some interconnection process enhancements. So the new OASIS report would include both gross imports and exports by intertie. And then the enhancements to our interconnection process is really focused on the independent study process, where we would be removing the cap on behind-the-meter expansion requests and also enable the ISO to award available deliverability temporarily to online projects until those earlier queued projects come online. So that's what's included in our draft final proposal. We had a stakeholder call on this initiative on Monday. We're asking for comments on the proposals are due tomorrow, and here is our schedule coming up. So again, the comments will be due this Friday, so coming up quick. We know this is a very fast, expedited initiative. We have the tariff language posted. We have a tariff call tomorrow as well to go over that tariff language. And then the comments on that tariff language will be due on next Wednesday, March 3rd. We'll be having a Market Surveillance Committee opinion on this initiative that we expect to have posted sometime either late next week or early the following week. And we'll be bringing this to the EIM governing body for review on March 10th, and then finally to the ISO Board of Governors at their March 24th, 25th meeting. And then we would be making our FERC filing shortly after that, around the 1st of April, so that we could have that FERC order and have our implementation in place by this summer, and are currently targeting June 1st of this year. So I'll stop there and see if we have any questions.
Great, thank you, Greg. So if you have a question for either Greg or Anna, you can press #2 to enter the queue, and we just ask that you first state your name and affiliation. So Kira, let me know if anybody enters the queue.
We do have a question in the queue. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hi, Greg. It's Callie Wells with WPCS.
Hi, Callie.
So a couple questions, and I don't know if I'm hoping that you can help me understand these two issues a little bit better. So during the call on Monday, that whenever you guys draft final proposal, I know we ran super short on time there at the end, and so there weren't a lot of time for questions on the storage piece.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed in the draft final proposal paper, there's this mention of a new PRR that is going to add some additional constraints about how much regulation batteries can be awarded in the market, but that wasn't mentioned anywhere in the presentation. So I was hoping you can maybe speak a little bit to what that PRR is trying to do, and maybe if you have any idea on when that process will get kicked off, that would be great.
Yeah, Callie, I don't have a lot of specific information on that, but what we are looking at is, again, that PRR would be focused on how we're managing the regulation for those resources, particularly during these tight supply conditions, and also ensuring that we can maintain sufficient charge for meeting those regulation requirements. Some of this is due to issues we saw with regulation as we did our review over the August events, but yeah, I'll have to get back to you on more of the specifics on the timing and the details of that PRR. I'm not fully up to speed on that.
Okay, no, that would be great. And that background that you just mentioned, kind of the issues you guys saw with regulation during August events, if during the PRR, if there's any way to kind of provide that background so we can kind of understand where this change is coming from, that would be really helpful. And kind of what issues you guys saw that it's trying to address. That would be great.
All right, we'll try and include that. Thanks.
Thank you. Second question I had is on the MSOC. So during the Monday call, and you just mentioned that the idea is to only have that enforced during tight system conditions, which you'll have certain criteria kind of outlined. But then during the RA call yesterday, a couple days ago, my days are blurring, sorry. During the RA call, there was some discussion that made it seem like that the MSOC will be enforced during those tight supply conditions, but also that operators might have the ability to enforce the MSOC outside of those conditions, but when they feel it's needed. Is that the case, or is it only during those tight supply conditions?
Yeah, I mean, it's primarily only during those tight supply conditions. We put that provision in there because, you know, things can change significantly sometimes between when the day-ahead market and the real-time market. So, you know, our intention would be only implementing the requirement during those times when we have a RUC infeasibility, but we would, you know, the operators would reevaluate real-time conditions to see whether those conditions still hold. And it could go either way. They may decide at that time as well that the minimum state of charge requirement is no longer needed, or they may decide that, you know, given the way system conditions are shaping up, that it's going to be, you know, a super tight critical day where they're going to need to impose that requirement. So they do have that discretion just so that we can address changes from when we ran RUC to when we get to the real-time operations.
Okay, I appreciate that, yeah, because during the Monday call that wasn't clear, but it kind of came up in the RA call. So
okay.
Is there going to be any criteria in real time as to when they can implement that, or is it just kind of at their whim and their discretion?
Yeah, I think we're still working through some of those details. You know, we'll have to be looking at possibly new operating procedure for that, as well as potentially some BPM changes that may be associated with that. But, you know, that's still in development.
Okay, yeah, I think an operating procedure would be, you know, ideally at a minimum what would be useful, just so we have some assurance that there's certain criteria that have to be met before that's implemented in real time without kind of that RUC infeasibility criteria being met first.
Right.
But, okay, I really appreciate the clarification. I wanted to kind of tie the two discussions that took place this week together. And, yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, you bet.
Any other questions, Kiara?
At this time, there are no additional questions.
Let me just go over one last slide. We do have a slide with some resources that are available on our website. So there is the Summer Readiness webpage. That's linked from the homepage. That's where you'll find information about this call. We did post the Summer 2021 Reliability Monthly Report. That came out on February 3rd. So that's also on the Summer Readiness webpage. And then if you want to get engaged in the market enhancements, it's toward the end, but if you want to engage in the market enhancements for Summer 2021 Readiness, that is initiative webpage is linked here. And then as far as submitting data requests for Summer 2020 or the final root cause analysis, those can be submitted through CITI, and there are corresponding subject titles for those. And then if you don't have access to CITI, you can also send questions or requests to the Contact Us that's linked from ISO's homepage. So these are some resources that are available to you. But do we have any final questions?
Hey, Christina, this is Greg. I did get one request to also comment on system market power mitigation, which I probably should have noted in my original comments. But, yeah, if you notice, you know, that is no longer included on our list of enhancements that we're trying to get in place by this summer. You know, we got a lot of stakeholder feedback on that, and we're also looking at, you know, prioritizing what we can implement by this summer. We're continuing to see data coming from our Department of Market Monitoring that's showing that we, even during the tight supply conditions last year, we had competitive outcomes in our market. That being said, there were also some concerning metrics in their latest Q3 report that showed that, you know, we're having a trend of increasingly tighter conditions to where we're having residual supplier index failures. Particularly, you can see a clear trend in the third quarter over the last 3 years where, you know, those instances of failures where we're having very tight conditions continues to increase. So with that, you know, this is something that we're going to continue to keep a very close eye on and be monitoring the market as we go forward into next summer. We do plan on picking this back up in conjunction with the scarcity pricing, that more comprehensive scarcity pricing initiative that will be starting sometime in Q2 as well. So that's our plan on system market power. So we're no longer planning to, have that in place for this summer, but again, we're going to be, continuing to closely monitor that and be, ready to move quickly if we have to. But, our current plans are to look at that more comprehensively with that comprehensive scarcity pricing initiative that'll be coming up later this year.
Great. Thank you, Greg. Any questions related to that? Again, press pound 2 to raise your hand.
There are no further questions in the queue.
Okay, we did get some suggestions regarding OASIS in the chat. Guillermo, do you want to respond to those from CEC?
Yes, I think we got a couple of requests regarding more OASIS data available. And at this point, I think we are moving very fast and we have a very tight scale to get in place what we already committed to do. I think these are good requests, and we just have to consider what the priority could be in order to make them happen. As we indicated to the initiative, we're in a very tight schedule, and we're already in the implementation discussions to make possible to have this information on OASS. I can see this to have very useful information. I don't think at this point we can commit to have those ready for summer. We still have to do the assessment whether we can make it happen and when that would happen. So I think right now that would not be part of the scope that we currently have for the summer readiness.
Great. Thank you, Guillermo. Okay, anybody else in the queue? Kira?
There are no questions in the queue.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your participation in the call today and the engagement in all of these. I know we have a lot going on, but we really appreciate all the feedback that you're providing and your engagement in these readiness activities. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Kira.
That concludes our conference. Thank you for using Event Services. You may now disconnect.